وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون.
وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Quran Circle2. I'm Arkham Rashid, your host. For this episode, we have chosen a selection from Surah Al-A'raf, and the theme that we decided on is the oneness of Allah. So let's start off by introducing and welcoming our guest for today. On my right hand side, I have Sheikh Ibrahim Zidan. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, if you could just slightly give us a small introduction to the meaning of A'raf in this surah.
Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salam wa rasulullah wa ba'd. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned Al-A'raf in the surah with regards to those people, those who will be somewhere in the middle between Jannah and the hellfire. Some said that their good deeds were equal to the bad deeds, or they were the people that disobeyed their parents and they went to fight for the sake of Allah. So there are people that had both good deeds and bad deeds, and they will be in such a state between the Jannah and the hellfire till Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestow His mercy upon them and they would enter the Jannah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the Surah Al-A'raf in general, talking about the two groups, the believers and the disbelievers, and it talks about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that this what would give the weight to the people of Jannah. And the people of Al-A'raf, they would not enter Jannah because they were disbelievers, for example, having good deeds. No, they were believers. So they believed in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they died on the state of the Tawheed, but they had sins. Right? And the sins were equal to the good deeds. So that's why the most important thing is to be on the Tawheed. And the worst thing ever is to negate that by the shirk and associating partners with Allah.
And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for everybody to enter Jannah, inshallah. Ameen. And for our reciters today, we have a very new reciter joining us for the first time on Quran Circle 2. So let's start off by introducing the reciter on my right, Qari Muhammad Noor. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, brother.
And next to him, we have a very young reciter joining us for the first time, like I said, Qari Ibrahim Saeed. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Starting us off for today's recitation with verse number 172 of Surah Al-A'raf is Qari Muhammad Noor. So enjoy.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإذ أخذ ربك من بني آدم من ظهورهم ذريتهم وأشهدهم على أنفسهم ألست بربكم قالوا بلى شهدنا أن تقولوا يوم القيامة إنا كنا عن هذا غافلين أو تقولوا إنما أشرك آباؤنا من قبل وكنا ذرية من بعدهم أفتهلكنا بما فعل المبطلون وكذلك نفصل الآيات ولعلهم يرجعون واتل عليهم نبأ الذي آتيناه آياتنا فانسلخ منها فأتبعه الشيطان فكان من الغاوين ولو شئنا لرفعناه بها ولكنه أخلد إلى الأرض واتبع هواه فمثله كمثل الكلب إن تحمل عليه يلهث أو تتركه يلهث ذلك مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا فاقصص القصص لعلهم يتفكرون ساء مثلا القوم الذين كذبوا بآياتنا وأنفسهم كانوا يظلمون من يهد الله فهو المهتدي ومن يضلل فأولئك هم الخاسرون ولقد ذرأنا لجهنم كثيرا من الجن والإنس لهم قلوب لا يفقهون بها ولهم أعين لا يبصرون بها ولهم آذان لا يسمعون بها أولئك كالأنعام بل هم أضل أولئك هم الغافلون ولله الأسماء الحسنى فادعوه بها وذروا الذين يلحدون في أسمائه سيجزون ما كانوا يعملون وممن خلقنا أمة يهدون بالحق وبه يعدلون والذين كذبوا بآياتنا سنستدرجهم من حيث لا يعلمون وأملي لهم إن كيدي متين أولم يتفكروا ما بصاحبهم من جنة إن هو إلا نذير مبين أولم ينظروا في ملكوت السماوات والأرض وما خلق الله من شيء وأن عسى أن يكون قد اقترب أجلهم فبأي حديث بعده يؤمنون من يضلل الله فلا هادي له ويذرهم في طغيانهم يعمهون يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها قل إنما علمها عند ربي لا يجليها لوقتها إلا هو ثقلت في السماوات والأرض لا تأتيكم إلا بغتة يسألونك كأنك حفي عنها قل إنما علمها عند الله ولكن أكثر الناس لا يعلمون قل لا أملك لنفسي نفعا ولا ضرا إلا ما شاء الله ولو كنت أعلم الغيب لاستكثرت من الخير وما مسني السوء إن أنا إلا نذير وبشير لقوم يؤمنون.
Jazakumullah khair. Thank you very much, Qari Muhammad. Thank you very much. That was a wonderful recitation. Sheikh, I want to start with the very first ayah. I mean, it was such an interesting verse because it speaks about all of humanity, including us. And it says that God asked us about Him, and we replied. Can you explain this to us?
Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. This ayah refers to something that happened when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took from the loins of Adam all the souls of all the human beings, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them testify that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is their Lord. So this is inside of each and every one of us. And this is basically our fitrah, our innate. It's inside of us. Every single human being, even the disbelievers, they have in them, by necessity, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Rabb, is the Lord of the Alameen. But then what's the job of the messengers? The job of the messengers is to call people to worship the Lord alone subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why the messengers of Allah, when they were sent, their message was not to call the people to believe in the rububiyyah, in the lordship of Allah. They did not tell the people, believe in the existence of Allah. Believe that the Lord, He created the heavens and earth. They did not say that as the message. The message was, La ilaha illallah. There's no one worthy of worship except Allah. That's why it's repeated in the Quran that if you ask them, وَلَئِن سَأَلْتَهُم مَّنْ خَلَقَ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضَ لَيَقُولُنَّ اللَّهُ. If you ask them who created the heavens and earth, they would say Allah. Human beings, in general, they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being the Lord of the Alameen, except those who are stubbornly, they become atheists or so. But this is even them, by necessity inside of them, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Lord of the Alameen. That's why when the plane is falling down, right, people would return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone. So this refers to the fitrah, to the innate of the human being, with regards to the lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that He's the creator and sustainer.
Okay, and another verse, specifically speaking, 178, it speaks about Allah guiding certain people and Allah not guiding others. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala chooses who to guide and who not to guide, are we responsible for our actions then?
Definitely we are responsible, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said so in the Quran and the revelation from Allah, that we are responsible for our actions. That means He's the one that created us and He gave us the will, but being the Lord of the heavens and earth, by necessity, He's the one that owns guidance, and also He guides whoever He wills and He misguides whoever He wills by the justice of Allah, by the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that refers to the qadr of Allah. This is the secret of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But it has to do with the actions of the human beings. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, for example, in the Quran, فَلَمَّا زَاغُوا أَزَاغَ اللَّهُ قُلُوبَهُم. When they deviated, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala deviated their hearts. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the most just, and He's the most merciful. He's more merciful to the human beings, more than their own selves and their own mothers and fathers. So therefore, believing in this is definitely one of the articles of faith, to believe that guidance is in the hands of Allah and also misguidance, but it's all by the justice of Allah and the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Okay, and now I want to move on to the two verses that follow, and I have separate questions for both verses, but we'll get one of the reciters inshallah to recite verse number 179 and verse number 180. وَلَقَدْ ذَرَأْنَا Muhammad Nur, if you would be kind enough to recite that for us inshallah.
ولقد ذرأنا لجهنم كثيرا من الجن والإنس لهم قلوب لا يفقهون بها ولهم أعين لا يبصرون بها ولهم آذان لا يسمعون بها أولئك كالأنعام بل هم أضل أولئك هم الغافلون ولله الأسماء الحسنى فادعوه بها وذروا الذين يلحدون في أسمائه سيجزون ما كانوا يعملون.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much, Qari Muhammad. Sheikh, so basically in the first verse, I want to know about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making an analogy. And He's saying that these people have hearts and ears and eyes that cannot see and cannot hear. So, and after He says that, He says they're like an'am. And then He says rather they're adal. Can you explain this verse to us?
This ayah is an important one, like all the verses of the Quran, of course, but it shows us who are the people of the hellfire. And again, that's by the mercy of Allah. Makes it clear in this life so that people don't say that we didn't know. We know exactly who are the people of the hellfire, their characteristics. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying they have hearts that does not comprehend. The heart physically pumping and everything, but this is the job of the heart, is to comprehend what is right and what is wrong based on the revelation from Allah. They didn't use their hearts in the right way. They have eyes, but they don't see right. They see physically, but they're not seeing the reality of things. And the only way that a person can see the reality of things and the outcome of their actions is also through the revelation from Allah. They have ears, they hear perfectly, but they don't hear what is benefiting for them. What they see, what they hear does not go into their hearts. Right? We need to have things going into our hearts, and then the heart will comprehend, and therefore actions will be accordingly, based on the truth. If a person believes that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the Lord, is the creator of the heavens and the earth, are they really listening? Are they really believing in this? Because if they believe in this, by necessity, He's the only one worthy of worship. So the matter is very straightforward, does not need miracles for a person to understand. And that's why if they turn away from this truth, they are, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, kal an'am, like the cattle, right? They eat and drink and they enjoy their life, no responsibility. They're not entrusted with the amana, with the trust, like the human beings. They're even worse than the cattle in this case, because the cattle, they know the purpose of their life. There's actually a hadith, authentic hadith, where a cow, someone was riding the cow, right? And the cow spoke. And the cow said, this is not what we're created for. So the cow knows exactly what it's been created for. And human beings, they need to listen, and they need to hear, and they need to see, and they need to comprehend with their hearts, because they have a purpose. Otherwise, they become worse than the animals. And the reason for all of this is the ghafla. أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْغَافِلُونَ. They are the ones that are in state of ghafla, state of forgetfulness. They are heedless. They're so much busy with their desires. And human beings, they can relate very good when it comes to desires versus the truth. Stealing is an evil thing. As an example, people understand that stealing is a bad thing. But why would they steal? Desires versus what is right and what is wrong. Right? So they are in ghafla, they are not listening, they are not hearing. And that's why in da'wah, when we call people, we just want them to listen with open heart, to seek the truth. Seeking the truth by itself is the foundation. And listen to the Quran, listen to the message from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the job of the messengers, not to change the hearts. This is by the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But just for them to listen, and not to be heedless or to think, I don't need this, and so on.
And not to change the heart, like you mentioned, it was in the verse earlier, مَن يَهْدِ اللَّهُ فَهُوَ الْمُهْتَدِ.
Right, this is from Allah.
So moving on to the verse right after Shaykh, it says that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has names and attributes. And then He speaks about those who deny these names and attributes. What is this referring to?
No. The names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can state what are these names. So it's not up to us, because it's ghaib, it's unseen to us. And these names of Allah are mentioned in the Quran and the authentic sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to invoke Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala using these names, and to stay away and to warn ourselves from those who deviate from these names. They disbelieve in them, like the people of Quraysh, for example. They would disbelieve in the name Ar-Rahman or so, or they alter the meanings of it, or denying, the attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, whether with good intentions or bad intentions, it doesn't matter. Like some of the sects in Islamic history, and they might be still existing, where they would deny some of the attributes of Allah. They would say, we believe in As-Sami', but He's not really the All-Hearer. They just believe in the letters, Alif, Lam, Sin, Mim, Ya, without meanings to it. And this is by itself is an act of disbelief, right? So denying the names of Allah, denying the attributes of Allah, and nothing is the like of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, of course, and He's the All-Hearer, the All-Seer. We should protect ourselves from resembling any of these attributes to the human beings. We should protect ourselves from denying it or altering the meaning of it, to believe in it the way it is. And nothing is the like of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, people, they fall into the ilhad, whether denying it completely or altering the meaning of it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala warned them that they will be punished as a result of that.
Okay, Shaykh, one more thing before we go for a short break, which is verse number 185. If Qari Muhammad can be kind enough to recite that for us one more time, verse number 185, inshallah.
أولم ينظروا في ملكوت السماوات والأرض وما خلق الله من شيء أولم ينظروا في ملكوت السماوات والأرض وما خلق الله من شيء وأن عسى أن يكون قد اقترب أجلهم فبأي حديث بعده يؤمنون.
Thank you very much, Qari Muhammad. Sheikh, in this verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us to ponder upon His creation of the skies and the heavens. Can you just briefly give us a light explanation of this verse?
This is also something that is repeated all over the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ordering us to reflect and to ponder over His creation. The creation of Allah is miraculous signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that exists and it keep on existing at all times. So this is an order from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and the question here is in such a way that how can people stay away from such a reflection and pondering over the creation of Allah, and that the matter leads them to faith, because if they see the signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He's the creator of the heavens and earth, creating this and the dominion of the heavens and earth with its perfection and very complex system for no reason, like that, just for play, for them to eat and drink and to enjoy and then die. And this is related to what's mentioned before. There's a reason for it. Human beings, they don't do anything unless there's a reason behind it. Right? Even if it's for fun, but there's a reason. And they would deny this for the creator of the heavens and earth. So this is such an injustice from the human beings, that once they see this, the power of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and the signs from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then things will be put in perspective. And that maybe the final destination is very close to them, and it's referring to the hereafter. And if they don't get this, then what else they would believe? If they are forgetful when it comes to the signs of Allah in front of them, they're waiting for a miracle, the miracle would not do anything good for them because it's already in front of them.
And these signs are going to lead us to believe in the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Right. Once a person look and ponder over these signs from Allah, and then the message come from the messengers, worship the one that created all of these signs, then that's it. The matter becomes very clear.
All right, Sheikh, thank you for that. We're going to go for a short break, Sheikh, and then we'll continue our conversation. Dear viewers, stay tuned, because right after the short break, we will have a recitation by our very new reciter, Qari Ibrahim. So stay tuned.
وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون. وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون.
Welcome back to Quran Circle. Now, before we went for that short break, we were discussing the oneness of Allah. And now we will start by a recitation by one of the youngest reciters on Quran Circle, Qari Ibrahim Saeed. Go ahead, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. هو الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وجعل منها زوجها ليسكن إليها فلما تغشاها حملت حملا خفيفا فمرت به فلما أثقلت دعوا الله ربهما لئن آتيتنا صالحا لنكونن من الشاكرين فلما آتاهما صالحا جعلا له شركاء فيما آتاهما فتعالى الله عما يشركون أيشركون ما لا يخلق شيئا وهم يخلقون ولا يستطيعون لهم نصرا ولا أنفسهم ينصرون وإن تدعوهم إلى الهدى لا يتبعوكم سواء عليكم أدعوتموهم أم أنتم صامتون إن الذين تدعون من دون الله عباد أمثالكم فادعوهم فليستجيبوا لكم إن كنتم صادقين ألهم أرجل يمشون بها أم لهم أيدي يبطشون بها أم لهم أعين يبصرون بها أم لهم أعين يبصرون بها أم لهم آذان يسمعون بها قل ادعوا شركاءكم ثم كيدون فلا تنظرون إن وليي الله الذي نزل الكتاب وهو يتولى الصالحين والذين تدعون من دونه لا يستطيعون نصركم ولا أنفسهم ينصرون وإن تدعوهم إلى الهدى لا يسمعون وتراهم ينظرون إليك وهم لا يبصرون خذ العفو وأمر بالعرف وأعرض عن الجاهلين وإما ينزغنك من الشيطان نزغ فاستعذ بالله إنه سميع عليم إن الذين اتقوا إذا مسهم طائف من الشيطان تذكروا فإذا هم مبصرون وإخوانهم يمدونهم في الغي ثم لا يقصرون وإذا لم تأتهم بآية قالوا لولا اجتبيتها قل إنما أتبع ما يوحى إلي من ربي هذا بصائر من ربكم وهدى ورحمة لقوم يؤمنون وإذا قرئ القرآن فاستمعوا له وأنصتوا لعلكم ترحمون واذكر ربك في نفسك تضرعا وخفية واذكر ربك في نفسك تضرعا وخيفة ودون الجهر من القول بالغدو والآصال ولا تكن من الغافلين إن الذين عند ربك لا يستكبرون عن عبادته ويسبحونه وله يسجدون.
Jazakum Allah khair. Thank you very much, Qari Ibrahim. That was a wonderful recitation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sheikh, let's begin with the very beginning where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is speaking about Him creating the soul and creating us. If you could take the first verse, 189, and just explain that to us slightly.
Now, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His mercy, He made the evidence so clear to the people, and this is the way of the Quran to prove the oneness of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by stating the oneness of lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That since He's the creator of the heavens and the earth, therefore He's the only one worthy of worship. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala stated in this verse that He created us from one soul, and that is Adam alayhi salam, and from that one soul Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created its mate. And the second, liyaskuna ilayha, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the relationship between the husband and the wife, basically, that it's a situation or relationship of tranquility and peace and goodness and love And this is all from the signs of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And referring to the concept of whenever the wife would be pregnant and so on, and whether it's referring to Adam alayhi salam as it's mentioned in the books of tafsir or others, but the fact is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed His favor upon them, and they would say, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us offspring, that we would be among the grateful ones. But then when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave them someone that is righteous and that is good, then they would associate partners with Allah. Referring to the human beings in general, they would seek something from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but then once they are given that thing, instead of being grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with their speech and actions, they forget, and they will associate partners with Allah. The same concept when people are in the midst of the ocean or the sea somewhere and they're about to drown, and they turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and they would make covenant with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that they would worship Him alone, and once Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved them, they go back again to associating partners with Allah, which shows the injustices of the human beings. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala exposing this injustice in the human beings for the reciter of the Quran to take a heed of that and stay away from such injustices.
Okay, and if we look at verse number 191, just a couple of verses down, or actually after one verse, he specifically says that, are you going to associate partners with Him? Partners that do not create and cannot create, and they are created. He focuses on this attribute of creation. Why so?
Because this is the attribute that no one whatsoever of these idols that are being worshipped besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala claimed, or the people themselves. They would never claim that these idols or these images or these prophets, even if they worship them, they would never claim that they are the creators of the heavens and earth. So how can you worship them besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So it's a question to show how evil that is and how injustice that is for people to worship other than the Creator subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is also, as it's mentioned in many verses in the Quran, أَيُشْرِكُونَ مَا لَا يَخْلُقُ شَيْئًا. Those who they associate partners with Allah, those who they invoke besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they're not even able to create a bug, let alone the heavens and the earth. So how can they be turned to and asked and worshipped and so on? So again, without any doubt whatsoever, when people see this, they would see how evil it is, shirk, and associating partners with Allah, that would make people, or should make people, worship none but Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone.
Okay. And Sheikh, moving to verse number 195, in this he gives examples of, he says, do they not have feet that they walk with, and then hands? And then specifically I want to point the third example where he says, do they not have eyes that they see with? And if you remember in the first segment, we spoke about the example that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave, that these people have eyes that they do not see with. Is this a contradiction?
No, because it's referring to these idols that they are worshipping besides Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Does not have any benefit to the people whatsoever. Does not benefit them even as a human being to a human being. So how can they benefit them in the situation or be in the status of the Creator of the heavens and the earth? And this is a question. Do they have this? Right? And the answer is they don't have it. Right? So that's why قُلِ ادْعُوا شُرَكَاءَكُمْ ثُمَّ كِيدُونِي فَلَا تُنظِرُونَ. Call upon your shuraka if they would listen to you, and of course they won't listen. And this is not an order for them to approve what they're doing. It's a way to oppose that order by saying, do whatever you want to do of evil doing, and don't wait, right, and see what's going to happen. It's not going to avail you. The end result of it, that they would be ruined as a result of this worship of other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is something also, the meaning is been repeated in the Quran, that threatening them with whatever they are doing, that it's not going to bring any benefit to them, but rather the opposite of that.
Okay, Sheikh, I want to move on to the next three verses, verse number 196, 197, and 198, and we'll have one of the reciters recite it for us, inshallah. Qari Muhammad, if you would be kind enough to recite for us 196, 197, and 198, inshallah.
إن وليي الله الذي نزل الكتاب وهو يتولى الصالحين والذين تدعون من دونه لا يستطيعون نصركم لا يستطيعون نصركم ولا أنفسهم ينصرون وإن تدعوهم إلى الهدى لا يسمعوا وتراهم ينظرون إليك وهم لا يبصرون خذ العفو وأمر بالعرف وأعرض عن الجاهلين وإما ينزغنك من الشيطان نزغ فاستعذ بالله إنه سميع عليم.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you very much, Qari Muhammad. Thank you. Sheikh, starting from the first ayah that he recited, what is meant by wali here? Who's the wali of God?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the wali, is the protector, is the one that supports the believers. He's the helper. He's the helper. He's the one that basically everything is in his control. So again, the evidence is to establish the tawheed and the oneness of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is repeated throughout the surah, so that again the matter becomes so clear. If these people, they turn to these idols to seek some support and help from them, and they believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but they would seek these intercessors thinking that they would help them, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is refuting that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that protects, He's the one that helps, and He's the one that revealed the book to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and He's the one that would protect and help the salihin, the righteous ones. So therefore, the salihin and the righteous ones, they should not have their hearts attached to other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because they have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with them in their side. And the matter is repeated again when it comes to the actions. If they call other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they cannot help you, and they cannot even help their own selves. Because if it's creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, they are in need of the salvation. They need to be saved themselves. So how can they save others or support others when they are in need of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? So it brings us to the concept of the tawheed, that everything has to be from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why people really fear other than Allah when He's the owner of all things? Right? Why people should seek help from other than Allah when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of all things? This essence of belief should be present in the hearts, that makes the heart is full of the tawheed of worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Sheikh, and right after that, there's one thing I want to focus on. It says, those who call on other than Allah, right, they will not be able to aid them or give them victory. But many times you see, especially in, let's say, modern warfare, for example, sometimes you have people using the help of other than Allah and don't rely on Allah at all. But you see that army sometimes beating an army that relies on Allah. So how can we understand this verse?
Right. This is what it refers to, the victory and the help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is the help that would be an everlasting one, based on matters of belief. Otherwise, people are tested to one another, and if they take the physical means, even if they take the physical means, but who are the ones that are opposing them? If they are opposed by the believers, so the context is the helper of the believers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the disbelievers, they seek help from them, from their idols and so on. The believers, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if they turn to Him alone and they are away from sins, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help them, even if their enemies are more superior than them. And this is what happened to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But if the believers, they commit sins and they are weak in their iman, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send the disbelievers as a punishment for them, or to make them repent to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is the way of Allah. As the ayah says, in tansurullaha yansurkum wa yuthabbit aqdamakum. If you give victory to Allah, meaning if you give victory to the orders of Allah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you victorious. So the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on earth, that the sins of the believers are expiated by the disbelievers being superior over them. But if they perfect their iman, if they return to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, nobody can defeat them whatsoever in their totality and so on.
Okay, and then he goes on to say, وَإِن تَدْعُوهُمْ إِلَى الْهُدَى, that if you invite them to this guidance, لَا يَسْمَعُوا, that they will not listen, وَتَرَاهُمْ يَنْظُرُونَ, that you will see them looking, but it's as if they're not seeing anything. But what I want to ask you is, an explanation including the next verse where he says خُذِ الْعَفْوَ وَأْمُرْ بِالْعُرْفِ وَأَعْرِضْ عَنِ الْجَاهِلِينَ. What does this mean and how do they two connect?
Now, again, the meaning is repeated again to show the importance of listening and seeing in the right way. Listening to the truth and having the need that if the human being doesn't feel that he is in need of the truth, then more likely that he will be deprived from the truth. So listening to the truth, seeing things in the right way. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, they don't have this, these disbelievers, those who associate partners with Allah. Their ideas and their perceptions of things become distorted as a result of them choosing to be distorted when they don't listen and they don't hear the truth. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala after that ordering the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and the believers to, in general, to take al-afu. To take al-afu is what's extra, right? Basically, when you're dealing with people, and this is a beautiful way of life, when you're dealing with people, another person is not yourself. That means you don't have control over that person. So take what is extra from that person. If they treat you nice, mashallah, this is great. If they don't treat you the way you would expect them to treat you, it's okay, let it go. Right? You don't have control over them. Just even this is something that you would have to deal with your own children, right? Or your parents and so on. Take what is good from them, and the other, forgive and pardon. وَأْمُرْ بِالْعُرْفِ, and order with what is good and what is known to the people as good, and stay away from the jahilin, stay away from those who are ignorant. So that if you oppose the ignorance with ignorance, then you like them. But rather you oppose ignorance with turning away from it, right? Opposing it with knowledge, of course, but not to go into the level of those who are ignorant. That means they have no knowledge and they're not acting based on knowledge.
Okay, Shaykh, before I ask you to kindly summarize everything for us, just one more verse I want to focus on, which is 204. It speaks about the Quran being recited. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَإِذَا قُرِئَ الْقُرْآنِ, that if it is recited, فَاسْتَمِعُوا لَهُ, listen to it, وَأَنصِتُوا, remain silent, لَعَلَّكُمْ تُرْحَمُونَ. So I just want to know some of the rulings on this. So for example, if the Quran is being recited and we're talking, or what commonly happens is that we might be playing a track or a surah from the Quran by a famous reciter, and sometimes we start conversating while this is still playing. What's the rulings on this?
Now, this ruling originally is referring to the salah. When the Quran is recited in the salah, and this is how the context of the verse was revealed, and this is how the Prophet ﷺ applied it. So once the Quran is recited in the salah, listen to it and be quiet, because in the beginning, when the salah was established, they were allowed to speak during the salah, right? They would return salam and so on. Till the verses came, وَقُومُوا لِلَّهِ قَانِتِينَ, stand in the salah, in qunut, in silence, in ibadah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So they stopped talking to one another. So listening to the Quran and not to be busy with your heart during the salah, so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have mercy on you. But it's also true outside of the salah. But the question always comes in place. Of course, if people are listening to the Quran, they should listen to the Quran and respect the words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and reflect and ponder over it. But if someone asks, for example, that they're working or they're doing something and they like to have the Quran always on and on the background, is that permissible? If we take the tafsir of the ayah that this is especially for the salah, yes, it's permissible. And maybe you would benefit from a verse, once in a while like this, and it brings good environment for the person, and it takes the person away from the shaitan whispers and so on. So definitely keep that, even if you don't listen to every verse, right? Keep it on. Maybe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make you benefit from one verse or the other.
Alright, Shaykh. Just one more thing, if you can do for us, kindly just summarize the portions and selections that we've recited today from
Allah, again, with the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The whole entire Quran is about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His worship, with His names and attributes and the lordship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it talks about the implications of that and what necessitates that by being obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it talks about the nations before and how they are with regards to the oneness of Allah, the messengers of Allah and the followers of the messengers, versus those who deny this and disbelief, and what happens to them in this life and what's going to happen to them in the hereafter. The entire Quran is about the tawheed and the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why we need to understand it in the right way. It's not a kalima, it's not a word that we say with our tongues and that's it. It's the hearts having the belief in it that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one worthy of worship, with all what worship means. Deeds done by the heart, things to be said with the tongue, our physical actions, any state that we're in, We need to witness to that and prove to that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one worthy of worship. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of His mercy, He does not just give one evidence in the Quran about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so that person would search for it. It's the whole entire Quran. If you missed one, you get the second one and the third one, and so on, because this is the most important thing. Different than the other false beliefs, where people have to search for even implicit, not explicit, words that means that, for example, Jesus is the Lord, which doesn't exist. Something that, like this, the basic doctrine of what belief is, you would find it all over the book. The whole entire Quran is about the oneness of Allah, and that's why we should respect that and have this in our hearts, and to have the more evidences of the oneness of worship of Allah. Even shaitan, as it's mentioned towards the end, that if you seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from the shaitan, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect you. And the oneness of Allah, seeking victory, relying, hope, fear, the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you name it, whatever thing in our life has to be only for the sake of Allah, and to fulfill that by following the way of the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. So again, it shows the miraculous and the beauty of the Quran, that it's in harmony with everything. Everything is on the same pace. There's no contradictions. There's no one here or there. It's all together for the one purpose, and that is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alone, and to live and die in that state of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah.
Jazakumullahu khair, Sheikh. It's always wonderful having you on and sharing your wisdoms with us.
Jazakumullah khair.
And I want to thank both of you guys, Qari Ibrahim and Qari Muhammad, for coming out here and sharing your beautiful voices with us. Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Jazakallah khair.
Dear viewers, I hope you guys enjoyed today's recitations. Before I leave you, I want to remind you of one of the verses that we recited today, which is when the Quran is being recited, to listen attentively, remain silent so that you may receive blessings. And until next time, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
أن